If you feel like you're spending more and more money on ads without seeing enough new patients walk in the door, you might be making one of these 5 costly mistakes right now that kill your Google Ads profitability. I'll be talking specifically about dental and health practices, but truthfully, any business that has and fixes these issues will see less waste and more profitable campaigns in days, not months. Practices are literally wasting thousands of dollars each month on this. I just audited an account the other day where a general practice spent about $24,000 on keywords that never have converted. In the last year, they've never converted. Could have used that money for something else. I'm David Jackson from Visible Dental. I help practices turn clicks into real book patients so that they can grow on purpose and get off of the inconsistent patient roller coaster. Today, let's talk about 5 of the most costly Google Ads mistakes that you could be making. So hopping right into it, mistake number 1, not tracking conversions. Here's the truth. Clicks don't matter unless they convert. If you track conversions, that's going to actually help Google understand how to better optimize your campaign. So whenever you have a Google ad rep calling, and you've probably talked to them, that ad rep is going to call you, and one of the first things they're going to tell you is, why aren't you using maximize conversions? You don't want to turn it on if you've never tracked conversions in the first place, because what maximize conversions does is it tries to get more conversions that you've actually set up and tracked. So it's actually an awesome bidding strategy that you can run, but there's no sense in running it when you haven't tracked conversions, because what is it maximizing? So by the way, if you get that call from the ad rep and they tell you to do that without telling you to first set up conversions, just tell them to go take a hike. What you really need to do is you need to track the click from Google Ads to a click to call on your website or landing page and form tracking. That way you know that this many click to calls and this many forms that were submitted or this many bookings that were scheduled came from Google Ads and specifically came from this campaign. Let's talk about mistake number 2, not using negative keywords. So a negative keyword is a term or phrase that you don't want to show up for. The words like free, jobs, assistant training, competitor names, which I'll talk about later, all of these waste your budget. If you didn't tell Google that you don't want to show up for a keyword like free, they're going to match you to when someone types in free dental work. Same thing with jobs. If you don't tell them that you don't want to show up for jobs, then you're going to get clicks for things like dental jobs or dental careers. Now, if you're running a campaign specifically trying to hire more people, then that's fine. But if you're doing it for new patients, you don't need to be paying for these clicks. Here's the thing about negative keywords. You have to constantly monitor them. Every single day, Google is going to throw new keywords at you, and you have to go in there and actually understand which one should I keep and which one should I get rid of. Because if you don't, you risk showing up for some pretty crazy keywords. You may or may not have already known this, but Google Ads is Google's biggest money maker, generating over 70% of its total revenue. A company as big as Google and Google Ads generating over 70%, that's huge. So it's in their best interest that you continue to spend, even if you're spending on keywords that will never convert for your practice. So you have to watch your negative keywords and constantly be adding them to optimize your campaign, or your budget's just going to go totally out of control and you're not going to see any new booked patients for it. Mistake number 3, let's talk about bidding on competitor names. Branded keywords are the highest intent keywords out there. And what I mean by a branded keyword is a keyword that's actually a brand name. So, the name of a competitor's practice, for example. Think about it. If someone is specifically searching for a practice, it's very unlikely that they'll switch, because the general assumption is that when they type that in, they were typing them in for a reason, and that reason was to actually find that practice. These clicks are also extremely expensive because not only are they very high intent, they're competitive because it's unlikely that you're going to outrank the actual practice, and as a result, you'll receive a lower quality score. This is going to shoot up your cost per click, and it's just not worth it to bid on competitors' keywords. Mistake number 4, not advertising 24/7. So there's a bit of a caveat to this. You need a really good patient online booking platform that actually will show your schedule it into your practice management system in order for this to work. Or you can get away with some kind of AI phone answering service if someone happens to call late at night or whatever. Not as popular of an option. We see some practices do this, but it's not as popular. But if you have a really good online booking platform, then patients can just book whenever they want. Most dentists and most of your competition is bidding during the day, and that's because that's when many of the searches occur. Most people are up during the day. Most people are going to be conducting their searches. However, because of this, clicks cost more during the day because more practices are bidding on them. The reality is, though, patients are searching for a dentist all the time. At night, over the weekend, people are working late. People have different shifts, different jobs, and tooth pain will really strike at the oddest hours. Targeting these people can get you a much cheaper cost per patient if you set it up correctly. And speaking of cost per patient, let's talk about the biggest mistake that the majority of practices that we've talked to were making: not tracking actual new patients from ads. So this is the big one. Calls and form fills as conversions, they're great, but they're really not enough. You need to track the entire journey from click to collected. If you can't do this, you'll have to rely on guesswork to understand how and when to actually scale up your campaign. So let's say you're spending $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 a month, and you just think that, okay, we're getting a lot of clicks and I'm seeing more patients come in the door. That must mean that the campaign's working, and then you end up spending more. But that's not the reality. You're getting patients from all different types of sources, and you should be tracking each source and have proper attribution in place. This is one of the first things that we saw for practices, and one of the most common mistakes we see for practices, both small and large. The tools are out there to track this properly and actually track it all the way into your PMS to see if it was collected. So it's key that you get this in place. Even if you don't fix any of the other mistakes that I've mentioned in this video, you have to get this one right. So let's recap the 5 most costly Google Ads mistakes. Number 1, you're not tracking conversions. Clicks mean nothing, conversions do. Number 2, you're not using negative keywords. Don't waste budget on keywords that will never convert. Number 3, bidding on competitor names. It's a waste of budget and it rarely converts. Number 4, not advertising 24/7 for lower bids. You'll get lower costs and a whole pool of untapped patients that most of your competition is probably not targeting. Number 5, not tracking actual new patients. This is the only way to truly know if your campaign is working and if you need to ramp it up. So there's plenty of other mistakes that we see, but these are the 5 most costly that I see practices make over and over again. It's especially costly if Google Ads is your primary source of new patients, which is kind of a problem in itself. Yes, you should be running Google Ads, but you shouldn't be completely handcuffed to it for new patients. This is because Google Ad costs rise every single year, often for the same results. And if you don't raise your budgets to keep up with the competition, you'll get left behind. So this is where ranking in Google Maps comes in. When optimized properly, Google Maps can be responsible for up to 50% of your new patients without any additional ad spend. I covered exactly how you can optimize it in the video here, along with a 40-step checklist you can download for free. Go ahead and click the video to learn how to optimize your Google Business Profile, and I'll see you there.